Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this CC podcast, a podcast where I yap and talk about video games for the amusement of my girlfriend. Today I am playing Injustice 2. I have not played it in a couple of years. I played through the story mode and then I deleted it because I am a single player fighting game player. So, uh, that I just got the story mode, and then that was it. But I'm playing through the arcade towers and everything now. That's the footage that you're going to see from me. In a little bit, I think in the beginning is just me going through the tutorial or like just practicing with Wonder Woman. Because I wanted to just have some Wonder Woman gameplay footage in the background of this episode, and she doesn't have a video game, so Injustice 2 was our best option. And I wanted to have this Wonder Woman footage because this episode is about Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero. I don't advertise that fact a lot to the people in my life because I don't know, it feels very performative, right? It's like if a white person came up to me and said that their favorite superhero was Shang-Chi just because, and it's like, it's like interesting. Like, why are you telling me that, man? Are you telling that to me because I'm Asian? Like, that's interesting. I don't know. I don't think that but it's just a weird thing to say to people, right? Especially women. So I don't advertise that a lot. But Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero. I like Greek mythology. And she is the superhero that really has a corner on that market, right? I think another thing that really endears me to Wonder Woman is how abused she is by DC Comics. I think that very few superheroes are treated as poorly as Wonder Woman is in relation to how well they should be treated. And I look at that and I'm like, oh man, so, if you're the people that created you don't care about you, maybe I should care about you, right? That's why, despite, I can't really name any Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers comics that I really like. And I didn't truly like those movies either. I still like Captain Marvel because I feel bad about how badly the character is treated. Um, yeah, I have a lot of Wonder Woman comics. I have a long box p- full of just Wonder Woman trades. I don't collect single copies. I'm not trying to get rich off of selling comics in 50 years because I don't think that that's a thing. I also don't want to go through the process of grading them. And also, I think that art should be something that you experience and enjoy, not collect and profit off of. That's what I think, at least. You know, if there was a situation, I don't know. I think that art should either be experienced and enjoyed by one person or put in a museum where it can be experienced by all. But it just being traded around is kind of lame to me. But that's neither here nor there. So I've read a lot of Wonder Woman stuff. I have watched a lot of Wonder Woman material, the ones that exist. And, I have a lot of thoughts on Wonder Woman. At one point, when I was in med school, I thought, oh, it would be cool to like have a Wonder Woman YouTube channel and just talk about all my thoughts about it. Didn't do that. But um, that's just to say I do have a lot of thoughts. I don't think I'll be able to get all my thoughts out in this one video. I don't think that I'll be able to fully express like everything that I want to. Maybe this will be there'll be a part 2 or part 3 or whatever on this. But right now I just want to get, a lot of the basic stuff out of the way. Um, so yeah, first of all, want to talk about why do I think that DC Comics hates Wonder Woman? I think there's a couple things to point to for that. First of all, in the 90s, there was a lot of big shakeups that happened to a lot of superheroes. Superman was killed, Batman had his back broken, Green Lantern turned evil, right? And then the question is, what do we do to Wonder Woman? What shakeup are we going to do to Wonder Woman? And apparently, it was pitched that Wonder Woman would be raped, and it would be an entire issue of her just being violently raped, and then she would be so shamed by the experience and so traumatized by it that she quits being Wonder Woman. And somebody pitched that, and they were not fired, and DC liked the idea. They didn't go forward with it, probably because they thought that they would get too much controversy. I wonder why. But they did like the idea, and that was, that was interesting. That's a kind of crazy, right? That like people, uh, that idea came to somebody's mind, and that they almost published it. That's sick and disgusting, right? So there's that, right? Then we have the lack of Wonder Woman media, right? Wonder Woman has never had an animated TV show. The Batman and Superman animated shows by Bruce Timm, those were really influential in the 90s, and they really helped endear people and to those characters, and they popularized them. And those are the definitive versions of those characters for a lot of people. And Wonder Woman did not get an animated show. She also did not get a live action movie until 2017. The two live action movies are also pretty mid. It's kind of insane that uh, Wonder Woman 1984 came out either the same year or the year before The Batman, and one is good and the other one is awful. Um, and so there's that. She has two animated movies. One that I think is pretty good. The other one, Bloodlines, I actually have not seen. That is on my list of things to watch. So there is that. What else? I would also say she also has not had a video game, right? Monolith said that they were going to make a video game of Wonder Woman, and then it got canceled because Warner Brothers is broke and they want to focus on things that they know will make money, aka they want to focus on Batman. And so we have never had a Wonder Woman game. Superman has had games. They're bad, but he has had games. Aquaman has had a game before Wonder Woman has had a game. Think about that, right? Green Lantern has a game. They made one for the Ryan Reynolds movie. It was a movie tie-in game, so it wasn't that great. But I mean, a I would prefer the people to try. Has the Flash had a game? I don't know. I don't know if the Flash has had a game. I don't know why they don't make a endless runner Subway Surfers game for the Flash. Like I think that fits very very well, but that's neither here nor there. So um but Wonder Woman has not had a game, and that's insane. That's ridiculous. That's horrible. It's a horrible thing to be in the situation. So they like don't really try and care. Last thing, right, that proves that they do not care about Wonder Woman is that they have not attempted to capitalize on Wonder Woman in stories. In 1989, when the first Batman movie came out, the one with Michael Keaton, it was a big deal. And DC Comics created a whole new comic book series called Legends of the Dark Knight that was essentially made to generate trades. For people that don't know, like my girlfriend, trades are collections of comic book issues that collect story arcs. So, issues 1 through 6 um, are collected into a trade of a story. So a trade is like a book of 6 issues. It's like a manga chapter or whatever. That you have those, and those have multiple chapters inside of them as well. So they essentially created a series to create trades. So, and all those trades were basically independent. So they weren't tied into the main overarching story of the ongoing Batman story. So that once people decide to get out of the leave the theater, they're like, I want to know more about Batman. They can go to the comic book shop, and they don't have to go to Batman 160 or whatever. They can go and just pick up Batman Venom, a self-contained story with a beginning, middle, and end about Batman. And they just created a lot of those. They also created, they've also made a lot of Superman independent stories, right? Wonder Woman does not have a lot of independent trade stories, right? Thinking of the ones that I have in my collection, we have Dead Earth 1, we have Earth 1, that's 2. We have Amazon Historia, that's 3. What else do we have? Evolution that came out pretty recently. That's 4. Evolution's not that good though, but we do have it. Um, we also, what else do we have here in terms of independent Wonder Woman stories? Um, some people say A League of One is a Wonder Woman story, the one where she defeats the Justice League. It's billed as a Justice League story though, so mileage will vary if that counts. Dead Earth 5. What else? We have Yep, I think that's it. I think that is it. I think we have 5 Wonder Woman trades that are independent and you can just hand to somebody that wants to just get a Wonder Woman story that has a beginning, middle, and end. 5, right? I can Superman and Batman have at least 50 each. So that's crazy, right? Again, it shows the level of like care that we have placed with this character. So, we will, I think and when the movie came out as a prime opportunity, the 2017 movie, that was a phenomenon. I think it broke $1 billion. Prime opportunity to do something like that, to make a Wonder Woman, to start producing Wonder Woman standalone stories. And did they do that? No, they didn't. They just left all that money on the table because DC Comics does not care about Wonder Woman. So it's a very sad state of affairs, right? That we have this character that means a lot and people don't and DC doesn't care about her. And it's to the point, right? I don't know if people saw this, but they were like, who's on the superhero Mount Rushmore, right? And, everyone agrees Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, but there was debate on, does Wonder Woman deserve to be on the fourth name on that Mount Rushmore? Shouldn't it go to Iron Man or Wolverine or the Hulk or someone more popular, and it's like, well, that's insane that like Wonder Woman's uh status in the culture is so diminished that like people debate whether or not she is one of the top 4 most influential superheroes of all time when she definitively objectively is. That's like insane. And it's like, are all these people saying that she doesn't deserve it, are they necessarily sexist? I don't think so. I think they're just seeing how poorly her publisher treats her, and they're like, if DC doesn't care about her, literally why should I? So I think that those are the things that we can point to where it's like it's clear that they don't care about Wonder Woman. Additionally, I would say the last thing, and this is I think the biggest thing, is that DC Comics has never uh, decided to stand on and establish and like define what exactly Wonder Woman stories are supposed to be. And because of that, there's such a varying amount of quality in Wonder Woman stories, and I would say even the best. I would not say that there are ones that jump up above, but the majority of Wonder Woman stories are C tier at best. And it's one of those things that, like, because DC Comics, the people that write Wonder Woman can't write good, compelling Wonder Woman stories, then it makes it difficult for movies to be good. Because those two live action movies, 1984 is bad, and the first one is mid, and so we struggle to have we struggle to have um a movie adaptation. We struggle to have an animated series. We struggle to have a video game because at the end of the day, the people in charge of writing Wonder Woman don't know how to write Wonder Woman. So how are the people that are trying to make other things? How are they going to make a Wonder Woman um, story, right? And so I think that's the issue. And so I want to dive into why does why is DC not able to write a Wonder Woman story, right? What is the hangups? And I think that there's a lot of hangups, right? That in traps that they fall into, that are unintentional, and that, like, if anyone cared, they would get over them. First thing, right, is just her creation in general, right? People have So Wonder Woman was created by this guy named William Moulton Marsden. He's also the guy that created the polygraph machine. So lasso of truth, not a thing in Greek mythology, but it compels you to tell the truth. And it's a thing about truth, and that's where that comes from, the lie detector machine. William Moulton Marsden was also very into like BDSM stuff and whatnot, and he put a lot of that into his writing. If you read the uh, Wonder Woman comics that he wrote back in the 40s, right? So Wonder Woman, like, there was a lot of talk of submission. I think the lasso of truth was called the lasso of submission when it was first created. Additionally, Wonder Woman, she didn't have a kryptonite or anything like that, but she lost her powers whenever she was tied up. I think it was tied up by a man, but maybe it was just tied up in general. And that was another way that he got those BDSM themes in there, right? I think the bracers are called the bracers of submission. I think those are what they are called. There's a lot of, again, BDSM themes in there. And there have been a lot of writers that can't get over that, right? Wonder Woman Earth 1, again, standalone story, one of the few, but it is written by Grant Morrison, and he really wanted to talk about the BDSM angle and really, like, make that a real part of the Wonder Woman story. And um that story is bad for a number of reasons, but I think one of the main ones is that it it um is those BDSM themes, right? Like, what are we doing? Why are we making a story like this? Why are we allowing this to be published if we're DC Comics, man? Like, what are we doing? And it's one of those things that's like, if I was in charge, I would say, like, if you are going to, like, get put BDSM themes inside of this Wonder Woman story, you are fired. There is no there is no question, there's no debate, there's no what about what happened in the early days. This is not a theme that we're going to be exploring inside of a freaking superhero comic, man. Like, what are we even talking about? Um so, like, yeah, like, that, it's really weird, it's really insane, but, like, for whatever reason, people like to go back to that kind of stuff. And it's like, why? What is what what is there to be gained out of this kind of story? Out of like making these kinds, like, this, like, soft core fetishistic, like, stories, right? That's weird. It's really, really, really weird. And I don't like it, and I wish that we would, like, get over it. Batman, when he was created in the 30s or whatever, he killed but we've established that Batman does not kill. And if someone came in and they were like, I want to take Batman back to his roots and he's going to come in, he's going to kill everyone, DC would say, no, he's not allowed to do that. Obviously, he was when we talk about the movies, DC is in charge of the movies, so Warner Brothers let Zack Snyder. Yeah, Zack Snyder. I was confusing for Scott for a second. They let Zack Snyder let him kill in Batman v Superman, and a lot of people were outraged about that because that's not how they don't. That's not comic accurate to Batman, despite the fact that that was how he was originally created. DC has done a lot of work to establish that is not how Batman acts. So I don't understand why we are allowing, though, Wonder Woman to still be a fetish character. That is insane. Why did they even publish Wonder Woman Earth 1 with this, again, softcore fetish content? It's insane and it's disgusting, honestly. So that's one of the things, right? Like, one thing that they have not established is they have not put a hard stop on this fetish nonsense for Wonder Woman. Another thing is that they have not established a definitive origin for her. So there was the clay origin that she was originally created with, and that stood from when she was created in the 40s until when they rebooted in 2011. And in 2011, they said, no, she is actually the daughter of Zeus. And and then they started going back and forth. 2017, it was like, is that true? Is that not true? And the most recent run of Tom King, 2023, they were like, he has said that it was a that she actually is born from clay, that the Zeus origin is not true. But it's one of those things that's like it it's really weird, right? And because it goes back and forth. Because um, even though the most current writer of Wonder Woman has said that it's a clay origin, and I think it's one of the few good things about the current run of Wonder Woman, the current run. But that's what he said. I will also say that the person who says that it's the clay origin is the guy that wields the lasso of lies. He's like a notorious liar. So it's like, is he lying, right? Maybe why can't we just establish what her origin is? And there's back and forth, and the movie said her origin was that she's the daughter of Zeus, as well. Which that was when that happened in the movie theater. That definitely dropped the movie's grade to me a whole letter grade because I hate the daughter of Zeus origin. I don't like the idea that some people argue that they don't like the idea that her power comes from a man, and like that is that is fair, but that's not even really like my beef, right? First of all, I think the people that argue that like her being the daughter of Zeus, um, I think those people they argue that like it's more mythological because demigods are from mythology and things like that. But you know what else is from mythology and also Greek mythology? Women that were made from clay coming to life. Like I don't know if the people that say this are just ignorant and don't know what they're talking about, but Galatea is a character in um Greek mythology. She was made by Pygmalion. He created the perfect, quote unquote, perfect woman out of clay, and then she came to life and rejected him. And so, like, how is a woman coming to life from clay any less Greek mythology than a demigod? I like someone has to explain that to me, right? But then also, don't like the idea of Wonder Woman being born special, right? That makes her like Superman, um, who was also born special. I think that there's really like three categories that you can put superheroes into, right? There's the people that work and train for it, um, like Batman, of course. And then you there's the people that are, born special or become special through no fault of their own. That's Superman, right? That's also the Flash, right? He wasn't born special, but he didn't have control over being struck by lightning and getting his powers. That was just luck. Like he didn't that's how that all shaped out. So he didn't choose they didn't choose to have powers. But then you have people like Green Lantern, who, because of his willpower, the universe chose him to be a Green Lantern. And I think Wonder Woman should have to go through the contest, prove herself to be the best Amazon on Paradise Island, and because of that, she is chosen and gifted powers. That's what I think the origin should be, and I think that like separates her from the rest of the DC Trinity of Batman and Superman because she's someone that definitively like that she was proved herself to be worthy of the power that she wields. Um, Again, and that's similar to Thor as well, who is, I would say, Wonder Woman's counterpart in Marvel Comics, but Thor is a lot more popular than her, and that's insane because I don't know anyone that's interested in Norse mythology outside of Thor, Marvel's Thor, but Greek mythology is very popular outside of Wonder Woman. So, I mean, you have God of War, Chaos, Blood of Zeus. What's it called? The Yeah, Lore Olympus, that comic series, very popular, right? So Greek mythology is very popular. People that are interested in Greek mythology should have free reign or whatever, should easily be able to get into Wonder Woman comics, but because of their such low quality, Thor is more popular than Wonder Woman, and that's so insane. It's so baffling. But continuing on, right? So we don't have a definitive origin for Wonder Woman. We know Superman's origin, we know Batman's origin, but DC Comics is like, oh, Wonder Woman's origin, who knows, right? Who knows? Quick sidebar, I know some people that care if they're watching this might say because I am playing uh because I am playing Injustice. Do I like Injustice Wonder Woman? Absolutely not. Injustice Wonder Woman is a bloodthirsty and insane and like a horrible person, and she's the devil on Superman's shoulder to convince him to take over the world. That's such a mischaracterization of Wonder Woman. I cannot even like begin to even think about it. But then also, right, while we're talking about that, I was going to talk about this later, but since we're on it, characterization of Wonder Woman. She doesn't have they have not given her a strong character. They go back and forth all the time about like what is Wonder Woman, right? Is she a bloodthirsty monster? Which no, but but they let writers write her that way sometimes where she's just like uncaringly, unfeelingly killing people. Um and we also have versions of Wonder Woman where like in the movies where she like gives speeches about love or whatever to save the day. And it's also like that's not her either. Like it's insane. Like Wonder Woman should be like that's Wonder Woman should be the well there's a lot of things that should like characterize Wonder Woman, I think. I think another thing that people that just are lazy fall into is just like she's just going to be one of the like stoic heroes like Superman and Batman or whatever, not brooding like Batman, but like, no strong personality like a lot of people write, characters like Superman and Aquaman, like all those other heroes, like she doesn't have a strong personality. to them. And so that's also again really weird. But like I don't know, I think there's a couple things that I would like want to see out of a Wonder Woman, right? I would say, you know, first of all, I would make her somebody that is full of wonder, somebody that likes to explore the world, likes to experience new things, is excited about the things happening around her. I think people like to play up the fish out of water angle where she like doesn't know how to act. And like that's I don't hate that, right? But instead of being confused, I think it's more endearing if she was excited, right? If she saw someone with if she saw Cyborg and she saw someone with robot parts and she wasn't like confused, but she was excited to see a half robot, half human person, right? That kind of thing. Um, and her trying to, she's leaving her island. She's like wants to travel the world and explore it, and and see things. So I think that that is something that I would want from her. So more wonder. I think in terms of, not everyone has to be funny, but if you want to play up the character dynamics within the Justice League and things like that, I think one thing that would be fun is if she was just like 100% honest. Not in a mean way, not in a whatever way, but like she was just like she's just honest to the point where she sometimes makes people uncomfortable or like says things that other people don't want her to, and that and the comedy would come from there, right? I would I would like I think that that would be interesting and funny as well. Um, I think also I would say her character, the whole like warrior aspect of her. People think like warrior, if you like, in order to make Wonder Woman a warrior, she has to be like bloodthirsty and like violent and like trying to kill people all the time. And it's like I don't think that's true at all. I think when we're talking about warrior, I would I would like try and make her a lot more like Goku from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball Super. That version of Goku is brain dead, and I do not like it. And he makes problems. His warrior spirit makes problems. Wonder Woman's warrior spirit should not make problems, right? But you look at uh Goku in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, he defeats Piccolo, and everyone's like, kill him. You've defeated him, kill him. And he doesn't. And he doesn't because he knows that this guy is not full evil. And he knows that there's a path to redemption for him. And he's like, and he says, like, essentially, he gives the message to Piccolo, like, it's been established. I can beat you if you try and do anything. So like your whole take over the world thing is over. I suggest you go on a character arc and learn how to become a better person because it's established that like I would beat you if you continue to be evil. And I think that works for Wonder Woman, where that's like her approach to villains, where she's like she defeats them in order to save people, right? But she's not going to kill them unless they're, brain dead or something, or some monsters or anything like that. But if she's able to determine that there is a path to redemption for them, like like the difference between Piccolo and Frieza, right? Like she's like Goku kills Frieza because this guy will never not be evil. And Goku realizes that, and there's nothing wrong with Goku killing Frieza. Um, Same thing with Cell, right? But then we have at the end of the Buu saga, Goku, when he kills Buu, he says, "You're a great opponent, and I hope that you can become a good guy when you become reincarnated, because I am killing you. But I hope you get reincarnated as a good guy so that we can fight and spar, because I would love to test my abilities on you." That is what I think Wonder Woman should be. Someone who would like to test her abilities, who does like fighting and training and making herself a better warrior, but not at the expense of other people's lives. And she would like her villains to be redeemed so that she can spar against them and like they can improve. I think that that is a fun like character to write. I think, and a fun character to experience. Someone that gives people chances, and but like does establish that like if you try to like do anything evil, I can beat you. Do not ever get it twisted. I can beat you, you know? And I think that is um the way that I would like to see Wonder Woman characterized. Additionally, I think that people in terms of her character, I think that there's not a lot of, you know, Batman and Superman have hacks to defeat their enemies, right? Batman is like he could beat anyone with prep time. Superman is like he can beat anyone when he stops holding back, right? Because he has the power. And I think Wonder Woman's thing should be like, given enough time, she will learn your weakness and then defeat you. Like, if you're going to fight Wonder Woman, you need to one shot her because because she will figure out what's going on and she will win because she is the best warrior. She has Athena, the goddess of military strategy, like she has Athena's blessings. So she will defeat you if you cannot one shot her, that kind of thing. It's not that she plans and strategizes and like or over like on her nights off like Batman does. It's I can pick up on what these people's weaknesses are and I can overcome them. Kind of like a JoJo battle from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where it's like once you learn the weakness of the stand, you can defeat them. And so she's one of those that can learn, she can pick up on the weakness very quickly and then execute on that weakness. Um, and so I think that that's important. And I think just in general, and there's another video that talks about this as well on YouTube that I watched. It's a she should be the compassionate one. Someone that isn't just interested in trying to defeat the villains and that kind of thing, but also wants to like goes out of the way and does the work in order to try and redeem them because she can empathize with the things that like make them who they are, right? Like Batman I is compassionate to in a way because while he does beat the criminals up and whatnot, he does send them to an asylum because he recognizes they're mentally ill so they can get treatment. Despite everything, we do need to remember that Arkham Asylum is supposed to be making these people better, but it is a failure. But I think that, part of Wonder Woman's story should be like trying to appeal to her villains, trying to give them a path forward um, to become better. One of the things that William Moulton Marsden, when he made Wonder Woman in the early days, one of the things that he implemented or wrote into the stories was this idea of Reformation Island, where Wonder Woman's villains were sent to Reformation Island and they would become good because they'd be like mind controlled or whatever, and they'd be taught the truth of quote unquote loving submission. Um, yeah, I don't I don't like that. I don't like Reformation Island, but I do like the idea of Wonder Woman. Part of like her stories is also her trying to do the work to make her villains better, right? And make and redeem them. And I think one way that you could also separate Wonder Woman from her from Batman and Superman, from her contemporaries, is, you know, keeping her rogues gallery trim but like ever rotating because she helps her villains, right? She redeems them, not because she kills them. There's that one comic panel where she says, "There's a reason why I don't have as many rogues as Batman and Superman. It's because I deal with them permanently." It's like that's insane. That's disgusting. That's not who Wonder Woman is. Whoever wrote that, again, should not be allowed to write Wonder Woman ever again. But it's those kinds of things, right? Those things that we're looking at, where but instead, what if she finds a way to like fix Dr. Psycho's incel vibes and makes him no longer an incel, not by fucking him, because that would not help any incel, right? But by teaching him like how to become a better person, right? Because at the end of the day, how many stories are you going to be able to tell about Dr. Psycho, right? Like at the end of the day, there's only so many stories you can tell about these characters, right? And I think that, you know, we run into that problem as well with a lot of these like heroes and their long-standing villains. It's like, when's the last time we've read a good Mad Hatter story, right? And it's like we haven't in a long time. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, what if we just cured Mad Hatter from no longer being an obsessive little freak, right? What if we cured him? And, people can backslide, but if there was alternative, like a definitive version or whatever, and there's also ways to just have someone carry on the legacy, but like having that kind of progression, at least with Wonder Woman stories, I think would be helpful, right? Because again, like everybody everybody that writes Wonder Woman seems wholly disinterested in writing a Giganta story. So why don't we just deal with whatever Giganta's problem is so that she stops, so that we don't have to like keep on trying to address what's up with Giganta, right? And that doesn't preclude us from somebody else getting the Giganta powers, right? Even though Doris Zool is good, we get a new Giganta, or something happens where Giganta goes back to her old ways. Any of that kind of stuff can happen, and there's nothing wrong with that happening, right? But um I think that the idea of Wonder Woman herself being someone that cares about her villains and trying to do the work to help them, I think is very interesting. I think it's unique. I think it's one of the things that people like about the Flash and his rogues is because Flash has a personal relationship with his rogues gallery. And I think that that is something that Wonder Woman should have as well, through and be compassionate, I think of that Wonder Woman scene where she where no that I think of that Justice League scene where the Flash is talking to the prankster and he's like, "Hey man, you're off your meds. Let's take you back to the asylum," and just talks to him instead of beating him up, right? And it's just one of those things. Is like Wonder Woman could do the same thing because at the end of the day, again, the villains at a certain point have to know I'm not going to beat her. I'm not going to beat her. So all I have, I need to just listen to her and maybe try and do better, right? And obviously, getting stories out of them, it could be they think I got to do better to try and defeat her. But at a certain point, one woman just keeps on winning. At a certain point, they got to be like, I'm just going to, I'm just going to have to give up, or it's the Frieza route, and Wonder Woman has to be like, this is irredeemable. You cannot be redeemed, and has to take them out. One of the two, right? But I think that, again, I think villains, I think one of those villains should be either Piccolo's or Frieza's, right? And it's also one of those things that's like, you could also put in that in betweener of Vegeta, where it's like they backslide, right? And they go back and forth, and that's interesting. But Goku, despite the backsliding or whatever, never like is always forgiving of Vegeta when he's forgiving of Vegeta when he lets Cell become perfect or lets himself become possessed by Babidi, right? Because Goku is a guy that like he's like, yeah, I mean, he just needs more time. And then eventually it all works out. And, so I think that's just one of those things. It's like Wonder Woman should have the wisdom to know how to deal with her villains in an effective way. But also act in a compassionate way. Um, Let me see what else holds Wonder Woman back. I would say another thing that holds Wonder Woman back is that it's also difficult to write a Wonder Woman story because Wonder Woman doesn't have a basic plot outline, right? Um, when I say basic plot, I would say, Batman, if you want to tell a Batman story, what is it? Batman is in Gotham City. He meets with Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon tells him that there's a crime happening. Batman stops the crime. Easy peasy. You could give that outline to an 8-year old and they could write a story, right? And because the basic story is so simple, we've established our floor. Now, when we add things on top of it and layers and like add complexities, it we can expand it a lot more because we have a solid foundation, you know. But you compare that to Wonder Woman, it's like, what city is she based out of, right? She's been based out of multiple cities for her run. So she doesn't have a definitive one like Gotham City. Two, I say base, but at the end of the day, she lives in these cities. Like currently, she lives in Washington, D.C. She's not based out of Washington, D.C. She doesn't patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. for crime or whatever. She has no relationship with the police of the D of the of what she has no relationship with the police of Washington, D.C. She is completely like she lives there, but she goes everywhere else to do her superhero stuff. So and because of that, again, we don't have a Commissioner Gordon or somebody who can like let her know about what issues she needs to be aware of, right? In the 90s, John Byrne, when he had Wonder Woman, he had her move to Gateway City, which is basically San Francisco, and he gave her a detective, Detective Shore, I believe his name was. But while Shore was around, Shore didn't. I don't recall a single story where Shore was like, "Hey, there's these issues going on inside of the city. You should be aware of." Like, I don't recall that ever happening inside of the John Byrne run. Like, that guy was literally not Wonder Woman's. Was literally was not Wonder Woman's. Um, what's it called? Commissioner Gordon. And not everyone needs a Commissioner Gordon, right? Like uh, Spider-Man, for the most part, doesn't have one. Sometimes he has relationships with the police, like with Yuri in the Spider-Man PS4 game, and Detective Gene DeWolf, and I think there was Lamont, and like in Captain George Stacy. Like this has been back and forth in terms of his relationship with the police and like if they give him information, that kind of thing. But I would also say that like Spider-Man just goes on patrol in the city sometimes and sees things and he deals with it. Like that the basic story of Spider-Man is Spider-Man lives in New York City. He swings around looking for people that need help and then he helps them. That's the basic Spider-Man story. But again, Wonder Woman doesn't do that either. Like she doesn't fly around the world looking for people that need help. She doesn't do any of that. They've tried to give her um different the most they've done to try and give her a basic story, right, is Argus is apparently a government um is a government program or government agency that looks at superhuman threats throughout the world, and she essentially works with them, and Steve Trevor is a part of them. But um I don't know, it's always seemed like ancillary. It's always seemed like it's not that hopeful to her. It always seemed like it is not interesting It has not appeared in any other media. Like it definitely like no one thinks of Wonder Woman as an agent of the government. So it's one of those things that's like, yeah, they've tried, but like it's a very unsuccessful attempt with this Argus plot. And I would, I mean, one I guess one good thing of the most recent Wonder Woman run and her becoming an enemy of the state is that she no longer has to deal with this Argus nonsense because Argus sucks, and I don't know anyone that likes Argus. So there's that. And then we so we don't have a basic plot for Wonder Woman as well. So we don't have a basic plot. We don't have a basic personality. We do not have a a good origin. We do not, we cannot move past using her as a fetish character. So essentially, those are all the things. Those are a lot of the issues with Wonder Woman. I would say, lastly, because I can tell that I am getting towards the end of my time here, that Wonder Woman also there's a big question of again what kinds of stories are we trying to tell? Is she someone that deals with mythology threats, right? Like, is all her villains going to be her dealing with mythology threats? Kind of like Thor, honestly. Thor hasn't fought like actual human beings in a very long time, outside of with the Avengers and dealing with someone like Doctor Doom or whatever. But a lot of his stuff is him dealing with mythology threats. Or are we going to have her deal with human problems, that kind of thing? The most recent run, the Tom King run I've mentioned before, it is 100% just her dealing with human threats, right? The gods don't play a role basically at all on the mythology aspect. And that's one of the things that is very deflating about this run, because it's like this seems like it could happen to any other character. It's kind of weird. I don't really like it. So you look at that. So I mean, what I guess I don't understand is why does there why is it one or the other, right? Why can't it be both? Why can't she deal with both, Ares trying to do horrible things and also deal with Dr. Psycho? Because I mean, the gods can use the humans, right, to affect their goals. Whenever we do that, for whatever reason, we like to create just nameless henchmen, but she has definitive rogues that can be used by the gods. Or, if she was in an established city, right, it could be that she is all her rogues are in that city. So if we put her back in Gateway City, you know, Veronica Cale and Cheetah and Dr. Psycho and Silver Swan are all in Gateway City, and she deals with them. And when she's not, if she has to leave to deal with the god stuff, she leaves this city, you know. And she like, but whenever she's not dealing with god and mythology stuff throughout the world, she's in Gateway City dealing with human threats. I don't see how that is like a bad scenario. I don't see how that's like harmful, or like, well, not harmful, but I just don't see why we can't just find a balance, right? Because I don't know, like she's versatile in that way, and I think that her villains are good. I don't have time to talk about it now, but I think the next episode will just be me going over Wonder Woman's villains and talking through like why I think they are good. Um, but essentially, there's room for both. Um, and the idea that she has to be only human threats or only divine threats is silly. But if you had to choose, the choice is the divine threats. Again, the most popular Wonder Woman run, I think, the like best selling one, is the Brian Azzarello run. And while there's a lot of issues I have with that run, one thing you can point to is that it was all mythology threats that she was dealing with. And again, people have a thirst for mythology, Greek mythology content, and Thor doesn't deal with human threats. So at the end of the day, if we are going to choose, which I don't think we have to, the choice is mythology threats. The choice is not human threats. So, but like for DC, for whatever reason, is hung up on, nah, let's just do human threats, or just like and only human threats. There's barely any like God stuff happening at all, and I think that's just insane. Um, and so, and I think it could work essentially the same way that, again, Batman works. All of Batman's rogues are in Gotham City unless he has to leave to go around the world for something. And if he does, it is a Ra's al Ghul plot most of the time, right? And so the same thing can be true here. Like Wonder Woman is inside of whatever city we choose, Boston, DC, Gateway City. Um, or she's inside of that city and she deals with the threats there. And if there's a divine threat that she has to deal with, she goes to deal with it. I don't see how that is complicated. Um, but yeah, that is a lot of my thoughts on Wonder Woman. Not not all of them, as you can clearly hear. But those are a lot of my thoughts. Definitely interested to see if any of you all have thoughts about Wonder Woman. If you do, please let me know down in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you are my girlfriend, I love you, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts about what I've said next time I see you. Bye.